What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the, make sure my mic's on. Yeah, it is. Welcome back to the Rogue Report. Every Thursday, we're live talking about printing stuff. How's everybody's week going? I can tell you, mine's been stressful. That's for sure. There's been a lot of shit going on here. Like I said in the title, running a shop is pretty fucking hard. And it's been getting to me a little bit this week. Anyway, so yeah, we are here to talk for the next 45 minutes or so. I got to cut this one early. I keep saying I'm going to cut them early, and I never do. I got to do it. I got to get these workouts in earlier on Thursday nights. They're taking me way too long sometimes. But yeah, anyway, so let's start getting into some stuff. First things first. Can I screen share on this son of a bitch? I think I can. Let's get into this little guy first here. First things first. Oh, this is what is happening. Shirt show. New episode out right now. Mine right here down at the bottom. So go check this thing out if you haven't already. It's a pretty good episode. We kind of addressed some of the mental health stuff that I spoke about a while back and, talk about burnout and a little more stuff that's applicable to, kind of everybody, a little more widespread audience type of thing. And, go watch this thing, check it out. And also, by the way, when we go into their videos, we got number 1 and number 4 spot. I want to fill this top 3 here. So everybody go watch these. I want to own the top 3 positions on this just because ego and whatnot. I'm not even going to lie about it. So yeah, anyway, it was a good episode. It was fun. Always a good time being on the show with those guys. So let's get into some questions as per usual here. Looks like we already got a bunch of them kind of happening before the show started, which was perfect. Kind of gets me something to jump off on, which is awesome. All right, let's start this off. Infinite Fabrication. Looks like you got the most questions on anybody. You're just dumping these things in here. So we'll get after it. What black ink do you use? Mine is too shiny. So we've been kind of jumping around for the last little while on black inks. For a long time, we use the FN black, and it's a really nice matte black when you don't overdo it, like when you don't overcure it. It does give a really nice matte finish. However, we've moved away from it recently because it doesn't print wet on wet very well. It's a little too sensitive to the heat, so the palette temperatures kind of tend to make it start to tack up a little bit too much, and we were having problems with it building up on the backs of the screens way too much. And so what was happening is kind of building up, and over time that ink would build up and almost like semi-cure to a certain degree, and then it would start leaving chunks onto the shirts. And we had a few batches of shirts go to shit because of that. So after that, we ditched it, and that problem has gone away entirely. So it works really good on its own. It looks amazing by itself, but printing wet on wet with it, we couldn't make it work very well. So we have switched to the Monarch, the Bigfoot Black. That's the one. That's their low cure one. It's a lowish cure. It's 280 to 300 degrees, something like that. So kind of right in the middle. That's what we've been using for the past little while, and it seems to be working pretty good. It's a little bit shinier than we would like, but it's not bad. They do make a matte black version of it. They just didn't have any in stock when I ordered ink last, and I needed black in a pinch, so I went with the regular stuff. We'll try the matte black next, though. I know I used to use their regular matte black ink, and I love that one. That one looked really, really nice. So hopefully the low cure version of it looks just as good whenever I get around to getting some. This is going to be late as usual. I'm never late for these things. Ever. Ever, ever. We start them off, got the 10-minute lead in, and then bam, we're here. We're making shit happen. Anyway, let's get into here. Next one. Infinite Fabrication again. You're the only one with some questions right now. This might actually be a short stream then. Ever use a cotton white over a bolt white? We don't. We use one white. We I guess have two whites. We try and use one white for most things. We use bolt white because it can cover most things. It works great on cotton, works great on blends and things like that, sweatshirts, all that type of stuff. The only thing we have another white for is a pure poly type of white. That's the only other thing we got in here. Otherwise, we try and keep things as simplistic as possible. That's kind of part of the thing with going lean, right? Is to try and simplify your offerings a little bit. And I personally don't think there's really a need for all these different types of white. I mean, I've done it. I've gone down that rabbit hole and tried a million different things, trying to achieve different results. And I don't know, I just didn't really notice a difference. So we kind of just moved away from it. I've tried a few different whites over the past little while. I kind of tried that Bright Tiger for a week or two a little while back, like I'd say like earlier in the month. And it was pretty good. So we might, I don't know, we might make some switches here and there. But yeah, we tend to just use one white for everything. There was a while there where I was using a mix of Bright Tiger and I was using Quick White for a base and Bright Tiger on top. And I mean, it was really white and it looked really nice. But I mean, customers do not notice the difference at all. It wasn't worth buying all that extra ink and taking up all that extra shelf space. When you put the two side by side, it's still very hard to tell even as a printer. So I knew that they're not going to know the difference and not really worth all the extra bullshit involved. But anywho, yeah. 456 Print Co. What's up, sir? Looks like you're here this time around. You're on time. Good to see you. Higher Life Form Studios. What is up? Hey, bro. Huge inspiration. Oh, yeah. Now I can see you put inspiration. You corrected the spelling on the next one. Open up my own screen printing business because of you. Thanks, bro. Well, that's fucking awesome, man. Congratulations. I'm happy to hear that. That's super cool. And if anything I've ever done on the internet has helped you, that's the point. That's why we're here doing this stuff. So, hell yes, that's awesome. I have a customer asking for black Gildan 8000s, and for the life of me, I can't get fibers to lay down. Pressing screen used. Okay, yeah. Any ideas or just junk shirts? I mean, that's not the best shirt. we stay away from those entirely, and yeah, I would say like you kind of gotta mess around with squeegee stuff quite a bit. Like you're gonna have to mess around with either angles, durometers, squeegee, things like that. You kind of got to play with it and figure out what's gonna work best shirt to shirt, because some shirts just, not all shirts are created equal when it comes to printing, right? They're all gonna take a little nuance to get them to print nicely, and you may have to run like a little bit more squeegee angle, something like that, to kind of like, you know, butter the bread a little more, if you pick up what I'm saying. And yeah, something like that. You might be running too sharp of an angle. You might be running too sharp of a squeeze, or too stiff of a durometer, sorry. You could be putting too much pressure down and causing the fibers to raise up. You could be putting not enough pressure, and there's so many different factors involved in this shit. It's crazy. And that's why, like, when I said at the start of the show, like, we've been having a stressful week because we've been trying to solve bullshit ass problems like that. Lots of them. And it's just been never ending. And yeah, I don't know what the hell the deal is here lately. It's just been one thing after another just slamming us. And tomorrow I actually have like a person coming in to help fix some stuff. Not really like our print problems, but they're just like coming to, like, I'm not shitting you, like literally cleanse the energy in the shop, which is something that normally I'd be like, oh, okay. But I'm willing to try anything at this point. So that's happening tomorrow. I'm not even kidding. Yeah, it's been a lot of weird stuff going on. I swear there's some witchcraft going on outside of my shop, because we've been finding like a bunch of weird shit. Like, obviously, like, inside the shop, there's been a lot of just problems popping up that should not be popping up. But then, like, outside the shop, we've been finding like weird stuff. Like, we're gonna get grim here for a second. Like, we found one day walking to the shop, we found literally a fucking decapitated bird's head on the front step of the shop, just looking at you when you're walking in the door. Like, nothing else there, just that bird's head. And it was fucking weird as hell. And then, like, a week and a half later, another one, but a squirrel this time. But it wasn't the head, it was the body of the squirrel. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, I think it's the crows around here, because those things will do that. But at the same time, I don't know, superstition's getting the best of me right now. So someone's coming in here to work some voodoo in the shop and hopefully fucking get whatever's in here out of here. Let's get into here. There's a bunch of these things going on. Oh, Pierre, what is up, Pierre? Good to see you here, my friend. Talk about a guy who knows what they're doing on a printing press. That's the guy. That's the guy I ask a lot of questions to, because I don't know half as much as he does. And I'm trying to figure out how the hell he gets a roller to work so good, because I cannot figure that thing out. I can get it decent. I cannot get it good. That Stampinator is going to be the death of me one day. I'm about ready to frisbee toss that thing out of my shop. But at the same time, like, we just can't replicate those results with anything else. And for some reason, Pierre managed, he can do it with a roller, and I can't figure it out, and it's driving me crazy. I got to take a day next week and just do nothing but that. We got so much stuff to catch up on, though. Yeah, see, we're talking about the fucking birds' heads and stuff. Yeah, my cat does that and leaves them. See, that would be a normal explanation, but my cat stays inside, and there are no other cats around here. So where the hell are these things coming from? Like, I don't know. I read the crows do that shit. Like, they'll just, like, saw and little animal heads off and shit like that. But the fact that they keep popping up, like, right where we're supposed to go, like, in our path, I don't know. That's freaking me out a little bit. And just combined with all the other weird shit that's been going on. This is taking a turn. Let's move it on. Oh, here we go. Jonathanelson. You mentioned before that we should be doing a highlight white. Started doing that on my last few jobs, and it's a game changer. Much cleaner prints. Yes, absolutely. Much cleaner prints than doing like a print flash print type of thing. You get just a much print flash print, especially if you're using like a 150 or even a 110 like some people do. Like you're building that shit up so thick and it's unnecessary. Using something like a 150 and a 230 or 150, 225, whatever, if you're using thin thread, standard thread, that's the money right there. It does not need to be built up super, super thick. And it does look very, very nice. And it's just faster. I guess, well, on a manual press, I would argue it's the same speed. It doesn't really matter on a manual, but on an auto, it's infinitely faster, obviously. Okay, here we go. Ben Gosler. See, this is a question that I kind of know the answer to, but I kind of don't at the same time because I'm not like a chemist. But anyways, Ben Gosler, what is the difference between viscosity buster and regular curable reducer? Or better stated, why would you use viscosity buster over other things? Is there a more full answer than what works better? So, curable reducer, I try and stay away from it in as much as possible, at least in the application that most people use it for. Most people use it to like thin down their whites, and that to me personally is the wrong thing to do with it. Because number one, the reducer is reducing. It's reducing everything. So it's reducing obviously the ink down and the viscosity, and that's what people are kind of like trying to do because they have a difficult time printing white, but it's reducing everything else, all the characteristics of the white that makes it what it is. It's reducing the fiber matte down characteristics of that ink. It's reducing the opacity of that ink. It's reducing a lot of different stuff that like is important to getting a nice print out of it. And viscosity buster doesn't do that. It chemically breaks down only the viscosity of the ink. It does not affect any of the other properties of it, and that's why it is better. And especially too, like with reducer, to get enough in there to have the same effect as viscosity buster, like you would have to thin that shit down so far to the point that it would barely be white anymore. You'd be running like a 50-50 mixture, and obviously you would not get any coverage out of that. Whereas with viscosity buster, you mix in like 1%, 2%. It's up to 3% per weight on that stuff. We run on the lowest side. We run at 1%, and man, it breaks down the ink like and makes it that really nice, creamy, buttery type of thing, and makes it very, very easy to work with, especially after it's been warmed up. It's just like it's so smooth, so easy to print with, whether you're on an auto or on a manual. On a manual, I would usually kicked up the percentage a little bit. I usually would go up to like 1.5% or even 2%. 3% is overkill; it's way too much. I've found anyways, but on the auto, 1% seems to be the sweet spot for us. And man, it just works really, really well. So check that stuff out. I would say, yeah, stay away from reducer as much as possible. Use reducer in areas where it makes sense, doing special effect type of things, like we're trying to achieve things like a vintage style print, stuff like that. That's where it makes total sense to use that. But otherwise, reducer, I just don't like it for a lot of reasons. So I hope that kind of answered your question. I'm not super on the technical side of that. I've just been doing like the minimalist research and doing what we do on press to see what works better. And that's about it. All right. What is this? Embroidery on toddler caps, a nightmare. Breaking needles like hell. I have never done that before. We don't even make kids stuff here. We refuse to touch it. We do like t-shirts and shit, but that is it. And that even before we used to not do them at all. We just finally got the pallets to do it because we were having a hard time printing women's garments, and we decided to finally get the pallets to do them, and we kind of found a nice size that fit those and kids stuff as well. So we're not able to print like tiny, like baby shit or anything like that, but like youth side stuff. That's where we draw the line now. And we still have a high minimum for it too, because we ain't changing out those pallets and doing all the setup unless we're doing something worthwhile. So, but a toddler cap, I don't even know how you would fit that on the hat hoop. That seems very, very small. Like, how big is a toddler's head anyways? I don't know. I don't have kids. All right, what's your go-to tees these days? So it's a common question, very common question. I would say I get this question, I don't know how many times a week, a lot. And the answer is my go-to tee is the tee that the customer needs for their job. That is the best possible answer, because really there isn't just like one perfect tee out there, right? There's so many different things, and there's different budgets, and there's different fits, and there's different this and that we got to go with what suits the customer best. So we try and work with the customer and find out, what they're after, what what their budget is, all that type of stuff. And then typically I have it narrowed down a lot. Like I think I've said this before, where we have a standard, premium, and luxury kind of model going on. So in those brackets, we have like one or two different styles that are all very comparable to each other. So basically, like, we have one or two, or sometimes three. We always go with the first choice, and if that doesn't have stock, then we have number two to kind of back it up, right? So yeah, we always kind of just go with that. And we narrowed down the amount of offerings that we had here by a lot. One thing I'll tell you is, like, don't ever hand a customer a catalog, because it'll be your fucking nightmare. Don't ever do that. Try and narrow down as much. Find the shirts that you like to print on. Find the shirts that you have the easiest time working with, or the easiest time getting from suppliers, things like that. That's kind of how I did it. I broke it down into that. So like the stuff that I like to print with, or the stuff that I know my supplier is always going to have stock on. Those were my two priority things. And then I don't even try and offer anything else. Unless somebody comes in here with a specific request, like, I want this shirt. Like, I try not to offer blends. I will refuse to offer blends. I will not offer it unless somebody fucking comes and requests it, because I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to have to deal with the annoyance of, like, worrying about dye migration and things like that, and like teaching people stuff in the shop about it. So if we can make our jobs easier and sell nothing but cotton shirts all day, which I would say is 99% of what we sell, fuck yeah, that makes my job easier and makes everything a little bit more simplified. So that's kind of the best way to go about it. If you want to have a go-to tee, make yourself a go-to tee, and then bracket it out like that. Have a standard, premium, luxury, or whatever you want to call it. I've changed the verbiage on that a couple of times just to see what works better and what people seem to like. And then in each bracket I have a tee that I like to print with, and that fits that budget, and seems to work out pretty damn well. So we're gonna really kind of narrow that down even further now, because it's just made the sales game so much easier for us, and just having stock available all the time. And obviously too, when you're buying the same product over and over and over again, you can go to your distributor and request program pricing and stuff like that, and get stuff for way fucking cheaper. And obviously you can either, if you want to, be more competitive with your pricing, or take that profit for yourself. So it gives you a couple options there as well. So with us, we did that with all of our options within those brackets, and got program pricing on all of it, which drastically dropped our cost on it. And allows me to have the choice of whether or not I want to give someone a really good deal to try and like land a customer, or I want to make more money. Typically it's the latter. Crow glab. Oh shit, that is pretty good. I like that. I never thought of that. There's a shit ton of crows here all the time, and they're annoying. Go David Moffat. How's the new guy doing on the auto press? Jordan is doing quite well, I will say. He is picking it up. He's doing good. He's learning a lot. He's like anyone, he makes mistakes. I still fucking make mistakes on that all the time, but he's learning. We still got to get him up to speed on more complex type of stuff, but he's starting to figure it out. And was it this week we did? This week or last week? I don't know. For the past like 5 or 6 business days, I've barely been in the shop at all, because that's the goal. Right now, my goal is to get me the fuck out of there. Not for purposes of being on vacation and sitting on my ass or anything like that. It's because anytime I'm able to sit at my desk and focus on being a business owner and not working in the business, we make way more money. And if we can make more money, everybody makes more money. And that's the end of the game right there. Everyone wants to make more money. That's the goal in business. And so anytime I'm able to kind of step out of the shop and work like that, we just grow. And so for the past 5 or 6 days, I've been doing that. And Brad and Jordan have been picking up the slack and, handling business, which has been good because that's what I've been trying to get them to do, right? And I've got to let go of more stuff and put more trust in them and, let go of my fucking control issues and things like that and expectations of perfection sometimes. But no, he stepped up. There was a couple jobs this week that were a little more, I would say, a little more pushing his skill level, I would say. And he did it, man. He did it. It was slower running, obviously, but I mean, I'm not looking for speed. I'm looking for what's good. And it came out good. So he did a few jobs without my supervision whatsoever, just ran with them start to finish. I think I came out and I checked registration on 2 of them. And then after that, I was like, all right, you're good. You run the next one on your own. And I'm going to trust what comes out of it. And, he killed it. So super, super happy about that. And, he's doing good. So we got to get him up to speed on more complex stuff, obviously running 8 color jobs and shit like that. And all the different ways you can do that it's a little bit of a fucking brain buster even for me sometimes, because you never run 2 things the same, but he'll get there. It's only been 2 months-ish of him running the press. I'm always there, so this was the first time where I was completely removed from it, so doing good. We'll get him there. I would say it's going to take him probably 6 months to a year to kind of really get it. And then, still after that, you're not going to know everything because I don't know everything. I'm not even close. So, but I think after that, he'll be able to run a lot of more complex stuff like 8 color shit and kind of take a little more control, which would be good. And then I'm going to pay him way more. Oh, here we go. Run an embroidery operation at home, but I took your advice 3 weeks ago and took to Facebook groups to promote my work and got 3 gigs in the first week, and one has been a 2-time repeat client. Thanks. That's hell yeah, man. That's a good sales tactic right there. That one's worked for me time and time again, and it's worked for a lot of my coaching clients. It's just getting in those Facebook groups and making yourself known, and man, it works. So good to hear that, man. That's awesome. Those little Facebook groups they're powerful as shit. Oh, here we go. Does an auto take a lot of the mistakes that a manual printers make, or not really? No, autos make way worse mistakes, way, way worse. Autos are scary when it comes to mistakes. So at least with a manual press, you're going to make mistakes. That's just the nature of the game. But with a manual press, you're only making a mistake one at a time, right? You can catch it really fast because you're physically printing the shirt yourself. You can see it, you can feel it. You're lifting up the screen and looking at it every time you hit it with a squeegee. Whereas with the auto, even if you're on your game completely, you can fuck up 12 shirts before you even know what happened. So, and we've burnt a lot of stuff. When you start moving, what was it, just before Christmas time, I killed. It was $850 worth of hoodies in a day, or not even a day. It was a matter of I don't even know, 20 minutes, something like that. Before I noticed what was going on, I was like, holy shit. Oh, that was a bad day for me. And yeah, we had that recently where I left the 2 guys to run the press. That was the first day. They did we were just talking about that. They did make a big mistake. And this was what I was talking about with the black ink. We were running the FN black and it built up and started ripping the ink off the shirt. And they fucked up I forget what it was. It was something 14 shirts before they figured it out. And that's the thing with an auto. It'll make a lot of mistakes and it'll make them very, very quickly. So be happy on a manual press for your 1 or 2 mistakes, because autos get expensive when you're not dialed. That's the one thing. But they do take a lot of the human aspect out of it. So when it comes to mistakes of squeegee pressure, speed, and things like that, that's all handled by a machine, so it's way more consistent. So that kind of stuff goes out the window, which is nice. But otherwise, yeah, they make a lot worse mistakes, and they're a lot scarier. Oh, look at that. We got a couple super chats. Let's get these in here. No Bones Clothing Co. Thank you, sir. $2 sticker from No Bones Clothing Co. I can't see that. In the streaming software, I can't see the damn stickers. It just describes it. A pixelated hippo jumps on a 1-up. Well, anyway, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. And we got another one from David Moffat, $5 whole freaking dollars. Thank you, David Moffat. Lee, are you doing full auto wraps? I've heard it's a top area, but you have to have the right people you have to have the right people in place. Man, I can't read today. So is the second shop in your thoughts. We aren't doing them. We were doing wraps for a little while when we first started, but we kind of stopped doing them just because we don't have the space right now. We were kind of either borrowing or renting space when we were doing them before, and I just didn't like the vibe of that, didn't like the feel. I didn't like a lot of stuff around that. So we stopped doing it entirely. However, when we do move to a bigger new shop, there is definitely plans to bring that back and upgrade our printing equipment when it comes to that stuff. I think it's time for me to switch out printers anyways, because it's been like 4 or 5 years, and like those print heads only have a 5-year shelf life, and mine's starting to shit the bed a little bit. So I think we're gonna, I don't know if it's worth replacing the head in it or just getting a whole new machine, something a little more updated. So I gotta make that decision. But once we move to a new place, then yeah, like I want to do wraps again. I want to do PPF, stuff like that. I gotta find an installer to hire and work here and run that department, someone who kind of knows their shit. But that'll be the next kind of expansion, because yeah, we do have a lot of need for it, a lot of clients that would pay for that, and we're just planning on hitting the sales game way harder when we move to a new shop too, and really like going after more stuff. So the more we can offer to become a one-stop shop for these businesses, the better. So yeah, that's gonna be the next move. And I just want to do it too. I want to learn how to do it. I was hands off with that shit entirely when we were doing. I was printing the wraps and like making the wrap itself, but as far as installation was concerned, I was removed from that entirely. So I'd like to just learn it and get hands on with it, because I mean, I know how to do everything else in the shop now, so that's one thing that I don't know how to do, and I like learning stuff. So it'd be fun to get in there and figure it out and fuck some stuff up. Bring my own truck in there and wrap it a few times. So that'll be that's the goal. We're working on some stuff right now to kind of move in that direction. Oh, look at that. Laura Simonson. I have my first auto arriving tomorrow, which, congratulations, that's a huge step. Any advice on what to focus on learning first with it? The first thing to learn with it is just learn the machine. That's the biggest thing that I can tell you. Like, they're going to train you on how to run it. I don't know what you got. I guess it doesn't really matter, but learn the machine, learn the operations, learn the control panel, learn the settings and stuff like that. Like, learn all that shit first and foremost. Don't really worry about printing shirts as much as learning what that machine can do and how to control it properly, because I think everyone's mistake with jumping to auto, and I did the same thing, was like, you just want to get to like see what this thing can do and print some fucking shirts, right? And it's exciting. It's like you just got your first Ferrari and like you're handed the keys and like, oh, you want to jump in and drive this motherfucker, right? But like, hold on. Just back it up a second. Sit in that driver's seat. Take everything in, figure out what all the buttons and switches and all this shit do, right? That's kind of what I'm talking about. And, figure it out first, because that's, like I said, they'll make a lot of mistakes and they'll make them very, very quickly. And learning all that stuff first and foremost will help eliminate some of that. So, like one for me, and I think this happens to printing pallets. Everyone is going to print pallets on an auto, and it's annoying and it sucks, especially when you got like an 8-screen job set up and it's just like, boom, all of them get hit at once. So like with our machine, with the Rock, you can stop that with the emergency stop button on there. So like I got in the habit of like learning that emergency stop and like hitting it, like literally purposely hitting it, just so I started to build out the muscle memory. So every time it happened, it was just like the second I noticed like, oh shit, we're about to print a pallet, just like whack. And stop it from happening and save yourself a whole bunch of time and a whole bunch of headaches. Stuff like that. Just learn the ins and outs of that machine and learn them good. And then, yeah, just take it slow after that. Just don't even worry about running on auto mode at the beginning. Like, they can haul ass, and everybody wants to haul ass and print, 500 shirts an hour plus, which is awesome. But at the same time, if you haven't printed on auto before, like, just turn auto mode off, hit the button over and over again, get used to it, get used to the feel, take it slow. And that's how I taught my guys how to use it too, is the same thing. Like, they didn't use auto for, Jordan for, weeks probably before I said like, all right, start turning it on now. He was just hitting the button, one at a time and moving slow. But I mean, that's how you learn, right? Learning how load the shirt, learning what to look for when he's unloading the shirts and all that type of stuff. So takes a lot of the pressure off doing stuff like that. All right, I'm backed up too far now. I got to catch way up to the front of the line here. See, here we go. Donut probes, I've been told, are good for forced air and water-based. If you have an IR flash conveyor dryer, temp strips are the way. Yes, so many people fucking have argued this with me just because, like, well, he's a fucking YouTube guy. Dude, donut probes and infrared do not play well together. It even says that in the fucking instructions. Like, I've literally showed, people have argued this with me to the death, telling me how stupid I am and whatever else. And I would literally just open the instructions, says right in there, these are not meant for infrared. Infrared will throw it off big time. And it's true. They're not meant for it. And they say there's ways you can get around that, whatever. Like, no, they just don't work. And the temperature strips are far more accurate in an infrared situation. Far more accurate. I have way more trust in the strip than I do the donut probe. Everyone I know with a donut probe that has been using it in a infrared type of situation are overcooking the shit out of stuff. Like every single person. So that's what exactly because they don't work in it. Just like the instructions say. So get yourself some temperature strips. They actually work really, really well. I'm a big fan. And you can get fun with those things. Like if you want to get crazy with it, like print over top of one and then peel it out after. You know, you can get real weird with them. But yeah, donut probe. I have a very expensive, very fancy donut probe. It's fucking never comes out of the thing because it's not even worth it. When one day we get to a gas dryer, then we'll start using it. Yeah. Oh, see, I'm like catching back up to like people are asking questions and answering questions in the fucking chat here. We're talking about wraps right now. Okay. I needed to bring someone in to disassemble parts. Made life a lot easier as opposed to trying to wrap the vehicle with parts on. Yeah, when we were doing wraps, we were disassembling and doing it, bumpers off, that whole deal. Handles off, mirrors off. And it definitely, like, from what I watched, was a lot easier and looked a lot nicer in the end, too. So Pierre's in here telling donut probes the truth. There's one thing we're going to argue about finally. I can't stand those things. But you guys have a gas dryer there, I would guess. Oh, 456 Print Co. You got an M&R Sprint on the way. Stoked to move to gas and have some real dwell time. Hell yes. That's awesome. And you are looking at a new press, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or you already got one? I don't know. I want to know about that. Let me know. Hopefully not have to check it every 5 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, that'll help. Definitely. What speed are you running embroidered structured caps? So this is going to come down to your machine a lot of the time. I mean, your machine makes a big difference. I'll say that much. It's not going to be the main factor in it. But obviously different machines can run at different speeds and hold tighter accuracy when it comes to putting that thread in there. With us, we can run pretty high with our machine. Like we typically run between 700 and 800 stitches per minute on ours, and it has dead on accuracy. Unless we're running something that has like some really detailed kind of small lettering, we'll back it down to like 650, 680-ish, and it runs really, really well there. But for most stuff, yeah, we're sitting around 750 is the average run speed for that. And it works out really good. When we're on flats, like we crank it up to like 900 to 1,000. We let that thing fucking rip. So, and it does really, really well. But it depends on the machine, of course. Like I said, I had a Melco before, and they were trying to tell me that thing can run at fucking 800, 900 stitches per minute and whatever else, and it could not. That thing was a piece of shit at 800, 900 stitches per minute. When I backed it down to like 600, it was a little more acceptable. It definitely looked a lot nicer. It was not good at high speeds, but the Tajima, man, that thing is precise as hell, and running at high speeds are no issue for that thing, which is kind of nice because we have a pretty deeply booked embroidery department, especially at the moment. We're running what are we running right now? It's like a 200-piece job that has fuck, I forget what it was, like 15,000 stitches, something like that. So it's a long one. And it's going to take about 5 days to run. But yeah, I can't imagine running that thing at, 500 stitches per minute. That would suck. There you go. It's way too fast on my old Tajima. I'm running at 800 right now. I'll slow it down. Yeah, 800 is a decent speed. I mean, you can back it down a little. Like 750 for us, I personally think is a sweet spot. Some stuff will go higher. It really depends on the design. That's a big factor as well. So if it's something that's detailed, obviously the slower you go, the better that's going to come out. If it's something that's bolder or doesn't have a lot of straight lines or things like that, where you can kind of deal with the hat kind of bouncing around a little bit more and it's not a problem, then you can just crank it up. Like we did one, it was like a 22,000 stitch count, full on block of embroidery on there, but it was very minimal detail. We cranked that shit up to like 900 on those hats and let it go, because we had to do, I think it was like 400 of them. It was ridiculous. So yeah, that one sucked. We just did another, it was like 800 piece job, but that one was nice. It was like 4,000 or 5,000 stitches. It was beautiful. Ripped through that thing in a few days. We need to get another machine in here though, big time. I just do not have the space. Here we go. Godfrey, what is your opinion on starting a shop with embroidery machines first? Currently run 3 heads, a 2 head and a single. Not sure what the next time in expanding would be. I mean, yeah, you can run a shop with just embroidery. There's plenty of shops that are just embroidery only out there. Lots of them. Not an issue whatsoever. I mean, you need to eventually move to try to offer more stuff if you want to grow and expand or whatever. There are some people that just do embroidery and do very well. That's their main focus, and just like they have a shit ton of machines and it works. It's different for everybody. So it's going to come down to like your clients, your client base, who you're trying to go after, that type of stuff. If they're looking for, if you find you're like hearing people say like, oh, do you print shirts? Then if that's becoming more common, you might have to start printing some shirts. That was our thing with embroidery. I started off with screen printing and I got asked for hats on a daily basis. Then finally it was like, all right, this has got to happen. So we moved into it. But starting with embroidery is a great move, because embroidery has, even though the machines are expensive, that's the biggest cost and barrier of entry are the machines. But the cost to run after you have that, and the profit margin on stuff is so high, it's starting with embroidery is a good move, I personally think, because thread costs nothing. My dog is barking his ass off upstairs. Yeah, the profit margin on embroidery is super high because it's a premium item. It's got that perceived value, right? And yeah, I would rather run more embroidery than screen printing in my shop, just because I know what the profit margin is on it for us, and it's significantly higher with a lot less work. See, here's what we're talking about. Most of my clients for embroidery is jackets, and each one has a different name, so they take a while. So for us, we don't offer personalization on stuff. We did, and we took it away. No fucking way. That personalization is, to me personally, like a way to not make money. It's impossible to make money unless you got like a cheap ass single head machine that like doesn't, something small, something simple. Like you're not going to get like a single head TMEZ to run names on there unless you're burning through like fucking hundreds of names a day, every day of the week. That machine will never pay for itself. It's just not worth doing. And then to shut down like a multi-head machine like our 6-head to do names, that's just a terrible idea. We did it once, and after I ran through that job, I was just like, never again. I was just sitting there timing myself, and like, we could have run so much more stuff on this thing and made so much more money, and we're like really burning cash while we're doing these fucking names. And so after that, no more names. Names, if people want names on shit, we DTF it. If you want names, that's the option. Otherwise, ain't happening. So that is the one thing we put our foot down on. How often are you sharpening, replacing squeegees, remeshing, or replacing screens? So we don't really have a protocol for this, which we probably should. I would say sharpening squeegees, like we just replaced a bunch of the blades on everything, so they're good for a little while. I always kind of just give them a quick little thumb check as I'm putting them on the press sometimes, seeing if they're still sharp. If we can feel round edges or feel any little nicks in them, then we'll throw them on the squeegee sharpener and tighten them back up. as far as replacing screens, like we periodically will check them with the tension gauge and see where they're at. And if they're dropping below where I like them, which for us, it's kind of, it's a lower number because we use thin thread, and thin thread just does not hold tension like standard thread does. So if they're starting to drop below, like, 19 Newton meters, something like that, then I feel like it's time for them to go. But we're going to actually switch back to standard thread for everything because, like I said, thin thread loses tension too fast and it gets too low, and I just don't like it. And we don't really see a massive difference when it comes to a standard versus thin thread. We just don't. And I don't think it's really worth the extra headache of, those things busting all the time, getting little holes in them and having to be more careful and all that stuff. Where the standard thread ones that we have here, we have a couple just for fun. Dude, we can beat the shit out of those things and they're fine. And they're still holding tension. We got ones here. I stretched those things personally. When did I do that? It was like last spring, and they have still not been redone yet. They're still holding perfect tension. They're still at like 28 Newton meters, something like that. I just checked them like a few weeks ago, and they're still great. I actually busted one though because I was trying to fucking prove a point, and I threw some scissors at them and I hit them dead on with the fucking the sharp end. And, yeah, that was stupid. But yeah, they're holding tension super, super solid. So I guess we're gonna move back to them and see what it's like, because the thin thread, yeah, we just been having little stupid holes pop up in them and dumb little things, and just it's annoying having to remesh those things over and over again. Thankfully, like, we got the Sherlock Easy frames in the shop, so we can do it ourselves, and it's not really a huge ordeal, but it still takes time, still takes money, and thin thread, I think it's got to go in here. So we're gonna find out. We're gonna get a small batch going and see if we like them better. Holy shit, we're already at 52 minutes, so I'm gonna get into. We got our teaser for this week's video. I still have not approved this week's video. I gotta fucking check that out later and make sure it's still good to go. But Ed's pretty on his game lately, so I think he'll be fine. Anywho, yeah, let me get this volume back up here so I don't fuck this up. There you go. And here, enjoy the new teaser.
I found a huge problem with my business last week, and we got to start fixing it right now. Last week, I got pretty sick. We're talking stuck in bed, not able to come to work.
Hold on. 1 second. That's not the new teaser. I fucked up. Man, I was trying so hard not to fuck up, and I fucked up. Where did I put it? Is it here? Is it this thing? Let's try this one.
We're back to focusing on some shop improvements this week, and I'm also going to teach you a cool little printing technique to get 2 colors out of 1. So we talked a little bit in a previous video about how I have no systems in place in my business, and this is something that we need to start fixing right now.
It's like sniffing salt. It's burning in there. It's burnt. Holy shit, I was not expecting that.
That's it. Let's start to finish.
I did the thing. Yeah, this was actually well made.
Actually well made. You're like surprised.
I am. Top G moment right there.
So the AC in the shop broke yesterday, so we're gonna try and do the least amount of heat generating things for the morning, at least until they come to fix it later this afternoon.
I'm top G at everything I already
Slightly
know.
above the middle G.
I'm top G at everything I know.
Which is not a lot.
Just kidding.
Okay, so next up, we are printing some band t-shirts. So this job technically should have been 4 screens, but to cut the cost down for them, I knocked it down to 3 by using a little technique where you knock out the underbase, do a little half toning, stuff like that. All right, we're done. This broken AC shit sucks. We're shutting down early.
Growing and scaling a business is not easy, and I'm learning that very, very quickly. I just got to take each day as it comes and just keep knocking out one problem after another. All right. There's the one. Yeah. Fuck, it took me a minute to get there. I kind of rushed the stream together. I didn't label these things properly in my little scene selector. Anyway, so yeah, I got to go and make sure that video is good to go before we release it on Sunday, but it should be okay. It's going to be a good one. Let me pull up this one last question here before we end this thing. Oh, we got Ed in the chat. Killing it. Killing on these teasers, sir. It's a good one. There it is. Was this a much more profitable week with you being able to focus more on sales? And do you have any tips on securing new clients and jobs? So, yeah, with me focusing on sales this week, huge difference. Absolutely huge. Like, I don't even know. I haven't sat down and like looked at the numbers exactly, but yeah, I will say I probably made twice the amount of money in the past week than we would typically would, because I was able to like sit there, focus on sales, focus on customer support, that kind of stuff, and just like really kind of put my head in the game on that side, because most of the time it's kind of like half there and half not. I'm kind of like working in the shop, thinking about that shit, getting jobs done versus trying to make sales. So yeah, with me being able to just focus on that task alone was it was pretty big, man. We did a lot of business this week, so I need to be doing more of that. We got to start creating more systems. We're gonna get some more help in the shop here right away. Dan's actually gonna start working with us in the shop starting Monday, I believe, and he's gonna work a couple days a week because we need extra hands in there. And I think I'm gonna actually hire another person too, because we're just getting so busy that like we need to have just more moving. And the more that can move without me there, the more time I can be at my desk doing sales, focusing on growing the business. When it comes to actually securing new clients and jobs, we're going to start diving into that stuff on the channel very, very soon, actually, and on the live stream as well. So we're working something out right now in the background. It's not official yet, but I'll let you know when it's time. But yeah, we are going to make some content directly about sales and sales alone, because that's something that I've never touched on, and it's something that I personally have never really learned a whole lot about. So we're bringing someone in that really knows their shit on it. That's going to teach me the ways, and whatever I learn, I'm going to trickle down to you guys and show you what works and what doesn't. And we'll get to kind of see the real-time version of it, when if this stuff works or not. It'll be kind of cool, right? So we're going to get into that over the next probably couple of months. Yeah, it'll be very cool. So anyway, that is our teaser for this week. It'll be out on Sunday morning, as long as Ed did a good job on this version of it. I got to watch that later, Ed. And yeah. So make sure you guys watch that, 9:15 a.m. Sunday morning. Watch the new episode of Shirt Show in the meantime. And thank you guys for joining the stream as per usual. And we'll see you again next Thursday. Have a good night, everybody.